Nick, how are you? It's just you and I so far. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, Brian.
Oh, okay.
There, I figured it out. Shane's not going to make it tonight. That's probably Kurt.
Nick, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Hi, David.
Just found a tick. Hi, David. How are you? It's never fun to find a tick crawling on you just sitting here. You know, makes you apprehensive how many you actually have on you.
That time of year.
It is.
It's going to be worse.
That's true. Anybody get out and get a turkey this morning?
Yesterday morning.
Oh, nice work. That's perfect. I missed him yesterday. I was able to get out this morning.
Oh, yeah. I took my wife this morning. We had 7 come in, but none were big enough for her. She's a trophy hunter, I guess.
Oh, she's going for the 12-inch beard?
She's got to beat me. Yeah.
Oh, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I think that's a good family competition.
Yes, it sure is.
Nice.
My friend got the one yesterday. I didn't get it, so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my beard was about, only about 4 inches long. It was kind of sad, but it was the only one I got coming in.
Well, there. It's better than nothing.
Exactly correct.
David, Curtis, the other person who's going to come on board tonight?
And
I
Gary.
believe Kurt, and I sent an invite to Gary, but I haven't heard
Okay.
from him.
We have enough for a quorum now if it doesn't work out with Kurt anyways.
I was going to wait till everyone came on board, but while you guys are here, maybe I can impose upon David. I wonder if you'd want to think about taking the minutes of the meeting. I was looking at my minutes. I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years and would love to have someone else come forward. We can ask Kurt and Gary, but
Gary can't do it. He's not a member of the Harbor Committee, I don't think. So.
okay.
Hey, Kurt.
Hello.
Kurt, you didn't hear me, but I was making a plea for someone else to maybe take the minutes, be the scribe, be the recorder of history for the Harbor Committee.
I can sure try.
Well, God, I'm so excited I can't stand it. I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I'll take notes.
Record
Sure.
that, David. All right, you're on.
All right. Must be 6 o'clock, so it must be time to start, right?
Sure, why not?
This was under Dave Kinney's request. So, Dave, what would you like to talk about?
The big thing I want to talk about is spring obviously is upon us, and I want to make sure that we don't leave anything undone that people think needs to be done. I think Kurt's got a pretty good handle, or Doc Harbor's got a pretty good handle on getting things up and running, but sometimes group think is better than no think, or my thinking. And so that was the primary reason, just to make sure that we got things up when you anticipated they'd be ready to go and how you anticipated them. Maybe we'd lean a little bit on Kurt to just tell us where we stand today and what their upcoming schedule is for us too.
Sure, will do. We had some sourcing issues with the lumber, but we have everything for the new float at the yard now. We had to refuse some decking from our distributor just because it was just not, it wasn't good enough for the float. So, but we received that today. It's under construction, and it should be there in the next week and a half, tops. In the meantime, we today we took the old dinghy float that was out of there, that was there underneath the incline. We removed that and we put the newer dinghy float that is in service in its place for the time being. So just that older float was just, it was becoming, unusable. The fendering was just coming off all the time and there was just nothing to re-nail to. So we did that today. So that's there right now. The east float will be coming over in the next few days to get hooked up, unless anyone has any objections to that. The most outer east float. The pump, the water pump, the washdown pump for the dock has been hooked up. It's operational now. We've made some minor repairs here and there. We're going to continue to do so throughout the week. And that's where we stand right now with the floats.
Did we get the east float slid out yet, or was that still pending when the other one comes over?
Yes, we did. We moved that east float out 3 to 4 feet. We did that in February, early March, I think. It was right around that time, and it seems to have been riding fine, throughout the weather that we've had. We did put a preventer line out that has been done in the past from that the south corner of the float to the ferry pen. We removed that the other day. We really don't feel that there's any need for that right now. I think the winter storms hopefully are done, in spring. And so that's where we are right now. We have to come back and just sand down a little bit of that first east float that the incline comes down on, where that was wearing a little bit. It's just roughed up a little bit, and we just need to go over there with some power tools and just fair it up. And I don't think there's any need to replace any decking where that was riding. So yeah, that's where we stand right now.
Kurt, I'm just thinking how easy it's going to be for you tonight. You're almost our evening's guest speaker.
So yeah, I'm open to any questions that anyone has.
I guess the only question I have is the east float made it through the winter unscathed again, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We should probably check the offshore chains, and but I think they should be fine. They're fairly new, so but I don't see any problems coming down the line.
So what are your thoughts moving forward with like the gantry? My personal thoughts are, if we've made it this long with 0 incidents, maybe the different ways that you had it hooked up and the different float and everything and the bigger ramp is all we need, rather than spending money on a gantry.
I think that no, we've done very well, but I think any added assurance or insurance in the future, would be a good thing. I mean, I don't. I think the gantry situation is I think it's a good idea, but I know that's it's a big investment, and it's You know, it's some people are for it, some people are against it, but I think it's a good idea. I'm seeing more and more of it, this type of setup and situation around. You know.
Just to chime in a little bit on that, that is something that the selectmen put in the budget. Not to say that everything that ends up in the budget, even if approved, gets done, but you know, if we're going to do something different, or if the group wants to make a recommendation different than having that in, I'm sure the selectmen would be open to any discussion before we actually pull the trigger and award that, or even before, you know, we seek out bids. They also included some monies for the ladder near the takeout lift, and some design and permitting work for launching ramp improvements. And they want to get going on the little roof structure over the pedestrian walkway too. And outside of that, those are capital improvement type items for the upcoming year, which, if gets approved in June, would go into effect in July. They also are recommending, as is the budget committee, the regular operations budget that we put forward. Or they didn't make any changes to it, so for what that's worth.
Does the regular operating budget increase incrementally each year for just cost of living increases?
It depends on primarily, or it has depended primarily on what we've experienced the year before and how much money we actually ended up the year with. Sometimes it's hard to predict because obviously when we're doing budget time, you know, we're in February or March and we haven't done any of the spring, you know, we haven't been through the worst of the storms and the spring setup and all that other stuff. But
David, how much is in the reserve now?
Well, of course you asked me that question, Brian. I just left that page. Hang on. We're thinking at the end of this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, that we'll have about $140,000 in there.
Okay.
And the budget, kind of hard to compare it to last year because for whatever reason, we used to carry the inland harbor master in the public works harbor budget. But I think everything's about the same or a little bit more, with the exception of the harbor master stipend, which is a big goose egg right now.
No kidding.
No kidding. We do have some money in there for an assistant. The selectmen are proposing to create a position called the Public Facilities Director, which is going to, at least by the job description, going to encompass the road commissioner's work, because our current road commissioner, after about 40 years, has decided he's had enough and going to go do something else.
Wow, Berner's leaving. Wow.
Yeah, like retire at 80 something years old. And we're going to take on the responsibilities for the new park down on Route 1. It's going to fall underneath this individual, as are likely the recreation facilities, Breezemere Park, the ball fields, that's been under the rec committee. They'll still be overseen kind of by the rec committee, but we're looking to have this person really be responsible to make sure things actually occur and get done. And the discussions were that this person might also be a deputy harbor master, or a harbor master in or deputy in name only, would do the daily oversight, but somebody like me would have the title until they get comfortable that the ordinance is being applied appropriately.
So are you saying that they're not the town is not remunerating you for the role that you're in now?
They haven't to date.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
All right, I get paid every day. Well, I get paid once a week, but. So that's kind of, that. Let's see, what else is on my list? So is anybody, before we move on to maybe other things, anybody that's more familiar with the facility in terms of items we might be forgetting? Hopefully we crossed the list. I think Kurt's pretty well up to speed with it, but.
Did we
You know, the
ever
only question
resolve-
oh, go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
did we ever resolve what finally created the qualified surveyor of moorings? Did we put that to bed?
That will be an issue for as long as there's something in the ordinance with adjectives in it, like qualified.
Yeah,
In the end, the selectmen approved a list that has, I don't know, probably a dozen. I can tell you in a minute as soon as I flip this page open. That list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep, a dozen individuals or companies. And then one person that wished to be qualified came in and convinced the selectmen that he was, and they've appointed him as well. So 13. You don't have to throw a rock too far to hit one, I don't think.
you needed a certificate of insurance liability. That was seemed
Nope.
to be a significant component.
In the end, that was not a necessary qualification.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't disqualify somebody that had it, but so I don't think it's going to be an issue, at least until the fall when we do it all over again.
Okay.
I will say that we've got a few of the inspection forms back already. And those people, most of those individuals are going to receive a follow-up note from the harbor master saying, good first attempt, but you need something, whether it be a signature or a location, or there's a few blanks in there, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Nice.
That are going to need to be filled out a little more completely. And the plan is to actually send that back to the owner as well as the person that inspected it. I won't name names, but one looked like somebody filled it out themselves and wrote an inspector's name into it. So probably when the inspector gets that back in the mail, they might be like, okay. Till then. Okay, so if nobody's got any other.
You know, I just had a quick one. I was down there watching people move gear, and it kind of put an exclamation point on what Nick's concern was getting that ladder in there. You can see how it was definitely a tricky situation. So my question was just, even if it is slated for a budget number, what would be a time frame of getting a ladder in there?
My guess is we'd probably be hard pressed to get it before fall.
Okay.
I mean, if we get approval of the money in July, we got to get it manufactured, then we got to get somebody to install it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Okay.
It isn't going to happen overnight.
Absolutely.
I guess I'm confused as to why it went through the budgeting part of it. When I thought previously we talked, it was more of a safety thing and capital improvement we had money for already.
Well, if they wanted to, I listed it in the initial budget request, everything that had come down the pipe that they hadn't said do this or don't do that. And to try to, in essence, get a decision. and they chose to put it in the budget and fund it versus taking it right straight out of savings.
It's too bad.
I agree. I mean, I don't know much about what happens down there just because I'm not, in that professional realm, but I just watched a little bit of gear getting moved and you could tell the need for it.
Yeah, and I was pretty sure it got put in the budget at least 3 years ago and just never got installed. When we went through and did that spreadsheet, that living document, I was pretty sure it got put in the budget then.
I don't know the answer to that, so, or at least not sitting here, but it's in there
Okay.
now.
Right. Is what it is. Capital improvements down there. I mean, we still haven't addressed the handrails. And some of the handrails are getting pretty bad, I guess would be the best way to put it. I think you wouldn't have to try very hard to run into one as a person and take it out, if
And
you
be
got
swimming.
pushed into the handrail.
Yep. The other thing that is new that's within the budget for the coming year is to do an annual and have somebody from the outside do an annual inspection of wood and fasteners. And I think that it may be a little later than we'd like to see, but it's coming. And I think the board's looking for, a clear, concise opinion with somebody to back that up versus not that we don't have our own opinions, but if we're going to have limited amount of money to spend, where to spend it most appropriately. One of the other issues that, not to switch gears, but that had come up the last meeting was trying to get something definitive from the ferry service on safety zone or whatever it's called.
I actually spoke with one of the ferry captains, Rod Johnston, a couple of weeks ago, because the idea was, proposed of having a possible dinghy float for commercial users, right in that area where that secondary winch is, Homeland Security, stuff like that. And the captain relayed to me that, something like that will be no issue with Homeland Security at all. None. I guess there was some hubbub in the past about a bait float being tied up to the ferry pen. That was an example that he gave to me that was not acceptable. But I asked him about, say if the town were to put a float right there, would that be too close to the ferry pen? Would that be too close to the operations area? He said it wouldn't fall under any scrutiny of Homeland Security whatsoever.
I've been chiming in there. I also been communicating back and forth with Mark Higgins, who's the manager of the ferry service, and Dan McNichol, who apparently is some captain up above or somewhere in between. And
Port captain.
And we thought we were going to have a meeting here, and all meetings were off. So hopefully we'll be able to get that rescheduled and back with those folks just to verify what Kurt just said, that certain captains said. Not that I don't distrust the captains, but
no, me either. I mean, I just said
I'd like to get something on a piece of paper from somebody with a title that I can point to.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Understood. But this was just a conversation we had over the phone, and that's what he relayed. That's what he relayed to me. So.
Yep. We'll say the renewals went out, the renewal applications. The reminders for people that those were due in second Friday in March, and then people had till the second Friday in April to pay at double the cost. We did have some people that chose not to renew their moorings. Some people that chose not to renew their wait list status. Some that were given options for moorings chose not to take them that had been on the wait list. Haven't got to the other items on that list yet, but those are all coming. We do have at least one new moorings in south of the ferry, and I think we've got 4 or 5 others that are likely to go in at some point after assignments of locations are made. And we've got some that didn't choose to renew, which our mapping system and location record keeping is a little less than desirable, I guess, for some. But we're going to get there before this year is out to know where everybody's mooring is. And if we've got others in the harbor that aren't yet registered, or people just abandoned them in place and went away, we're going to figure all that out. So,
If you're a last mooring accepted,
what's that?
If you have a mooring application and you've been accepted, do you have a choice of, I know you go to the farthest extremity of the harbor, but do you have a choice as to where then you can place your mooring, or does the map determine?
You work with the harbor master on the assignment, and the ordinance set forth what the priorities are in terms of who on the waiting list gets to go first in terms of placement. So hang on a second, let me get the right piece of paper out in front of me. So we had seven individuals that were on the waiting list last year. Reached out to all seven of them to say, if you wanted a spot, it'll be available to you in 2021. Six chose to take it, and that kicked us into trying to get this up in front of me here. Our harbor ordinance gives priority to property owners with real estate abutting the waters, residents engaged in commercial fishing activity, residents in commercial non-fishing activity, resident non-commercial, non-resident commercial fishing, non-resident commercial, and then non-resident non-commercial. So we took those 7 that were on the waiting list and applied that criteria to it.
Yeah.
And then we'll assign those moorings in that order, so that the resident commercial fishing person that wanted a mooring got first assignment, and that person had a preferred location, and it worked for the harbor master, so that's gone in. And the next person will, which will be a resident non-commercial. I'm going to work following that order on assignments of those spots. So that's kind of how it'll go.
How many moorings does the harbor allow? Roughly.
There is no, the harbor goes, I don't know, halfway across the bay. I would think there'd be a practical limit to people of saying, I don't really want to be out there. But
you have a waiting list.
We have a waiting list, yes. We have 3 people that have applied since February 5th of this year that would like that are on the outer harbor waiting list. This is all outer harbor. We have an inner harbor wait list where we may actually have a spot open in the inner harbor that somebody may be able to be assigned, but
Oh, okay. So
we're
you
gonna
might have
have-
a choice between the outer or the inner harbor, depending on what's available.
well, the inner harbor, we go to the inner harbor wait list and would apply the same criteria that's set forth in the ordinance in terms of who gets priority.
Okay,
And if there's a space and somebody wants to move from the outer to the inner and they're on the list and they meet the criteria for priority, then the boat fits in the spot and it isn't, doesn't have a keel that goes down 6 or 7 feet and a spot that only has 4 feet of water at low tide. It's got to fit.
yep,
It's not as easy as one would like it to be.
yeah,
It probably is easy for some, but for some people, but and you look at, we've got I don't know if you can see this if I hold it up, but that's a aerial survey of the harbor with the moorings that were out there a couple of years ago plotted on it. And you say, well, gee, there's all this water over here, but this is 2-dimensional. And you add that third dimension and at certain tides, there's no water. Not going to work.
yeah.
So, but yeah, the people that were approved that were on the outer harbor wait list that we're working our way through, they'll get assignments in essence the furthest out.
Well, it sounds at first brush very involved, but when you take the next glance, it's reasonable. You need to have what you have.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of process, set up, whether it's in
Right.
somebody's mind or on a piece of paper, but we're working through it. And I suspect when some of these people actually go to talk to somebody that can put a mooring in and they find
Yeah.
out where it's going to be, they may, ultimately
Not only
decide
where it's
not
going to
to.
be, but what's involved in actually creating the mooring itself.
Yep. And some people may not be deterred, and that's fine. I'm not looking to deter anybody. I'm looking to clear the list and get people in the water. So I've lost my list, but I think that knocked off the big things that I was really interested in, because I just want to make sure, I'm thinking that we'll be pretty well set up by Memorial Day. And if there's something else that somebody else is aware of that we need to be aware of, please speak up now or call or text or email or something.
I just feel very secure that Kurt is taking the minutes tonight. And he's been a significant part of the presentation anyway, so there's very little he has to do. He'll see that it's a very easy function.
Will.
Do we have to take a vote to make him secretary?
No.
I don't even know.
I'm afraid Kurt will vote against it.
Unanimous decision, huh? Right.
As long as it's not me, Kurt. Sorry, buddy.
Right. No worries.
Yeah. Trying to think what else we could need to talk about. What's the preliminary plan for the covered walkway? Does anybody know? Or is there just a random budget for it?
I think what we're going to try to do is get a section starting at the pier and working towards the road, and not necessarily build the whole thing all at once and then say, say, why do we do that when nobody's using it? But build a reasonably sized space that could be incrementally added onto, and work out the pier or up the walkway.
Yeah. Does it have walls or anything, or is it just the roof?
I was thinking more, nobody's really defined that, but I was thinking more an open structure, but with a roof, or maybe have some sort of, I don't want to say plexiglass, but some sort of side on one side, but man, you
Something
start
to break the
blocking
weather.
people's view, they get grumpy fast.
Yeah, but they would want some protection from that east. That's where
From the wind.
well, from the east is where the rain's gonna come from too.
Yep.
Southeast.
Yeah, this was something that came to the board a couple of years ago when they were going up to Hillsborough meeting with those folks. And the thought was if we did it on the walkway, that would keep people, off the pier deck, so to speak, or less likely to be milling around in the working area, but
Yeah.
still be close enough that they could get to the boat and get out of there quickly.
Sounds good to me.
We certainly can, hasn't got going on getting somebody to do the design. So if there's something that you think is necessary and appropriate, feel free to either chime up now or get something. So it sounds like something on the easterly side would be beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where the weather's gonna come from. Unfortunately, that's also their view, but I think they'll appreciate getting the weather blocked.
Well, and it could be something that had, some sort of vision panel or something on that side. So you can at least see where the boat is, or coming or not coming. So
You also could overhang the roof a little bit more than normal, that would afford you a little bit of protection if your soffit more or less stuck out there a little further.
I'm sure there's got to be the thing that can, not overly concerning, but concerning is we don't want to create a big sail there either.
Right, absolutely.
I don't want to see the roof get ripped off in a big wind, or I don't know how. Was that, does anybody know when that pier was first built, was that walkway there or was that an add-on after?
Wouldn't that have been an add-on when they built the new ferry terminal?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you one way or the other, but I know it must have got reworked when they built the new terminal.
Well, that's on the to-do list, but my to-do list is long right now. That's all I have, unless somebody's got something that's on their mind. Otherwise, welcome to spring.
I think it's time to go boating.
I have nothing.
Nothing from me.
No, I'm all done.
All right. Guess we can adjourn this. Thank you, guys.
It'd be good to have a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And a special thanks to Kurt.
That's
Have a
what you
good
get for
evening,
signing
everybody.
in last, Kurt.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was on time. It did say 6, so.
You stood a good chance of pushing it off onto Shane. He didn't show up.
It's not too late.
Oh, we still have that option, right?
Yeah.
I'm just filling
Not as
in.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Thank
All
you,
right.
gentlemen.